لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. I spoke a little bit yesterday about the management of time, and I quoted from the Qur'an, from Surah Al-Asr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by Al-Asr, wal-Asri, inna al-insana lafi khusr. Al-Asr is basically the word for era or time in Arabic, but in a more specific sense it is also used to describe the fading of the day. So basically the time in the afternoon, when between basically the time when the shadow of an object is as long as the object itself and sunset. That is called waqt al-asr, the time of asr. But again, in a more general sense, it is a word that denotes time in general. And I also mentioned to you the ayah from Surah Al-Furqan, ayah number 62, وَهُوَ الَّذِي جَعَلَ اللَّيْلَ وَالنَّهَارَ خِلْفَةً لِمَنْ أَرَادَ أَنْ يَذَّكَّرَ أَوْ أَرَادَ شُكُورًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the succession of night and day basically an ayah, a miracle in and of itself that demonstrates itself to those who do two things, who will or desire to mention the name of the Lord, and those who will or desire to show gratitude. I also shared with you a couple of quick tips yesterday, or the night before yesterday, the night before last night. I shared with you 2 tips about the management of times because I wanted it to be very practical. So I spoke about the notion that we need to have a plan for tomorrow, even if it's a rough, simple plan. But before we go to sleep, we always need to think of what happens tomorrow, what we plan to do or achieve tomorrow. Inspired by the verse in Surah Al-Kahf, وَلَا تَقُولَنَّ لِشَيْءٍ إِنِّي فَاعِلٌ ذَلِكَ غَدًا إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. Don't say I will do anything tomorrow unless you say Insha'Allah. And this ayah institutionalizes the notion of planning for tomorrow. You just need to say Insha'Allah before you start planning for tomorrow, before you say these are the things that I'll do tomorrow. I also shared with you another advice, and that is to basically make sure that you always have a contingency activity with you in case there's an idle time. So you always want to have some lectures in your car that you can listen to, some Qur'an to memorize in your own Qur'an on your person, or you could always have a book. Whenever there's idle time, you always sit and take advantage of your time. And I basically gave you a metaphor, I gave you an example yesterday, that the passage of time is very similar to water dripping from a faucet, right? You can never control the flow of the water from this faucet. It's as if the faucet is open, all the way, and it just keeps dripping, and all you can do is go and collect some of this water. Unlike money, we can control how to spend it. Time, we cannot control its passage or its flow, but we can control how to use it, basically. And I said that people are so cautious when it comes to spending money, but they give no heed or pay no attention whatsoever to the way they spend their times. And obviously the expenditure of time is a lot more important and a lot more consequential compared to the expenditure of anything else. A few more things inshallah ta'ala tonight to share with you. Number one, when it comes to the matter of time management, beware of what the scholars of management call time killers. Time killers. Beware of time killers. What happens is that you've had your planning yesterday night, you woke up in the morning, you're very energetic, you know exactly what you want to do with your day, right? And you have this list of tasks, those to-dos that you want to get done inshallah ta'ala that day. And then stuff happens. And things just occur that completely waste your plan and destroy your plan. To give you a few examples, one of the things that wastes so much time in this day and age is our cell phones. Our cell phones have become a tremendous device of destruction. Yes, it is making things easier for us to get in touch with people and so forth, but most of the time, cell phones that are supposed to help us connect better with other human beings are unfortunately making us connect less with other human beings. And I want you to look at the succession of things. You know, it used to be people met each other face to face, and they used to visit each other at their homes. You know, at-tazawur fillah, as the Prophet used to describe it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, visiting each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? And then it was gradually reduced to making phone calls. So you can just use your landline and make phone calls. But you had to be at home, and you had to be thinking about calling your brother or calling your sister. Now you have your cell phones on you, right? So you're in the car, you make a phone call, but I want you to notice the trend. The more technology we have, the less connected we are. We used to visit people specifically because we loved them and they loved us. But when we have phones, we actually call them less. And once in a while, even though your phone is on you most of the time, but you rarely pick up the phone in order to actually call one of your brothers or one of your sisters to just ask about them. Okay? So the physical contact became sort of like an audio contact on the phone. And then social media came about. Physical contact was reduced to audio contact was reduced to text. So we communicate with each other via text on social media, on Twitter or on Facebook and so forth. And then Instagram and those platforms arose. Because people got so tired of writing text, so they just post pictures. And that's it. So we don't communicate anymore. We just look at snapshots of our lives. That's it. Oh, that's my friend making pancakes in the kitchen. That's it. That describes the day. Right? Oh, that's my friend, you know, she's making a silly face. That's it. The whole intimate communication and connection between two human beings is gone. Right? And then even Instagram was now being sort of abrogated using a lexicon from our own series. And you have the vines, and you have, which has just become like just utter silliness. Right? Which is some, forgive me, idiot posts a completely useless video, and then we have a laugh, and then we shut it down and go do something else. 5 minutes later, we come back, do the same exact thing. Right? This has been, my friend so-and-so shared an amazing video on Vine today. And then we go watch the video, and that has become your connection with your friend. So we don't even comment on what we do or each other's photographs. We comment on some stranger's video that somebody we know has shared, and that is the modern form of human connection. Okay? But I'm not talking about human connection tonight. I wanted to talk about how we use our times. So you have this good plan, but then you also have all the apps and all the social media stuff that you have to deal with. You have Facebook on your computer, you have it on your cell phone, you have it on your tablet, right? Wherever you go, you constantly have to go and update your Facebook page and see what people said and what people did. And you're constantly scrolling. You know, you just walk around, people are walking around with their cell phones, with their smartphones, using their thumbs, constantly going like this. Right? This is the gesture of the modern world. Going like that. They're making tasbih. One of the brothers says they're making tasbih. He's giving them the benefit of the doubt. Subhanallah, subhanallah, subhanallah. With every scroll. That is obviously not true. I wish it was. Right? And so, casting aside how silly and how ridiculous and how inhumane that process has become, I am concerned about how we spent our times. I'm not going to say avoid cell phones and avoid social media, because that will just cause you to wither into irrelevance. Everyone is using social media, so we can't ignore that very powerful tool anymore. It'll be like us basically hiding our heads in the sand. We can't do that, okay? All I'm asking is a little discipline in terms of how we use it. You're not obligated to pick up the phone every time somebody calls you. You're not obligated to return voicemails. Everyone leaves you a voice message. You're under no moral or religious or social obligation to respond to text messages. We have allowed those norms to basically have a rooting in our society, and people now expect that I sent you a text message and 5 minutes later you didn't even respond to me, and they start getting upset about it. Right? Your response should be, you want to talk to me? Come meet me at the masjid for Salat al-Isha. This is where we're going to talk. But I don't really respond that often to text messages. And then you have the Facebook messages, and then you have the tweets, and then you have the private messages. SubhanAllah, we can't keep up with this stuff anymore. Wallahi, we can't keep up with this stuff, and people have expectations about this. And you can't. Dedicate an hour a day to work on Facebook. Or 2 hours, or 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening, and have the discipline. Remember Maryam, alayhi salam, and people of the ancient world, right? They used to perform different forms of fasting. So we Muslims, we fast from food and water and intimacy and so forth. Well, Maryam used to fast from something else. What was it? Talking, right? She used to fast from talking. إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لِلرَّحْمَنِ صَوْمًا فَلَنْ أُكَلِّمَ الْيَوْمَ إِنسِيًّا. Okay? How about we fast from these things? Just make a decision to fast from Facebook. Once in a while you see some of the brothers and sisters, they deactivate their Facebook. Like they get so sick and tired, they really have to activate their accounts. But then it's like addiction. You got to come back and take your fix. So a month later they have to reactivate the account. Oh my God, alhamdulillah. I'm back to heaven now. I can see what my friends are posting about the delicious dinner they ate yesterday. Right? So this sense of addiction is extremely dangerous. And by the way, it has become scientifically proven, and wallahi, if I remember the name of the article, I would have shared it with you. It's become scientifically proven that Twitter and Facebook and social media in general stimulates the same centers of our brain that are of our brains that are stimulated by narcotics. So you develop dependence on social media the way we depend on drugs or alcohol. So when you are so dependent and connected with your social media, that means that you are in a state of dependency, in a state of chemical addiction. I really want you to think of it that way. It'll change your perspective. And check yourself. See if you drop Facebook completely for a week. See what happens to you. If you're going around the house crazy, just like scratching yourself, right? Then that means there's something wrong. You need to seek help immediately. Okay? But if you're okay, alhamdulillah, man, I have more time to spend on useful things, then alhamdulillah, you haven't gotten addicted yet. So social media, cell phones, smart gadgets in general, people just going around buying things that they don't even need. There's no difference between your tablet and your cell phone. They have the same exact apps, the same exact operating system, and they're all syncing with each other. The only difference is that just one screen is bigger than the other. So unless you use it to give lectures or to prepare or to read books or something like that, you are wasting your money, and more importantly, you are wasting your time. One time killer that all of us in activism, involved at the masajid and volunteering fall into quite frequently is open-ended meetings. Meetings that don't have any agenda. You never attend a meeting that doesn't have an agenda. And that agenda must be sent in advance a day or two before, stating clearly what will be discussed in that meeting, and then you decide whether this is suitable or useful for you or not. Okay? And the list of examples, of course, can go on and on and on. Just think about it. Everyone in their lives, they have time killers. Number 2, the Prophet ﷺ taught us something very, very important about deeds. He says, أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ. The best and most beloved of deeds in the sight of Allah are the ones that are constant, even if they are infrequent or very little. So set to yourself achievable goals. And this is the title. Set achievable goals. Things you can actually achieve over an extended period of time. Don't say, I need to learn Arabic and memorize half the Qur'an and finish my associate's degree and learn French in the next 3 months. Okay? That is not a reasonable or achievable goal. You're going to be very excited for the first couple of weeks because it's a resolution and everything, and then it is too much work and all the efforts are just going to fade. And you go back to square one. Remember before Ramadan when I gave myself and gave my brothers and sisters advice about picking every week, you pick one sentence from the Qur'an, just one sentence from the Qur'an every week, and understand the meaning of every word in that sentence. And I said over 5 years, you will understand the Qur'an and its Arabic better than Arabs themselves, right? Now that is a long-term goal. Very small pieces every week. Inshallah, this is how you get there. This is how the Prophet loves it. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves it. Achievable goals, and make it a long-term plan as opposed to getting all excited. I need to lose 50 pounds in the next 2 days, and I need to achieve this and that in the next 2 weeks. It never works that way. It never works that way. Very, very small baby steps and a long-term plan, inshallah ta'ala, you get to where you want to be. Number 3, and this is very, very important. Beware of tasks that masquerade as urgent. You know, tasks that come to you and they look so urgent, right? While in essence, they're so not urgent. So you wake up in the morning, one of those days, and you have such a good plan for your day. And then you work on your computer and sending a couple of emails on your to-do list. You have on your to-do list, send 5 emails. And then all of a sudden, a message pops up and the computer says, an update required. Click here to update, right? So you're thinking, okay, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Update. And of course it freezes the computer, so you're just sitting there waiting for the update, right? And then it's like in the movies, the camera fades out and it fades back on you half hour later, right? Still in the same position, waiting for the update to have been finished and completed. 2 hours later, and you've wasted so much time, right? You come back to your computer, and then alhamdulillah, the update is complete. Now I go back to my tasks, and then other programs and software on your computer, they need to be updated as well because the operating system has been updated. So they need to catch up with the operating system. Microsoft Office needs a crucial update, right? An emergency update. Oh my God, emergency update! I gotta do that one, right? Otherwise, I will have health problems. So you say emergency update, go. 6 or 7 hours later, half the day is gone and you haven't achieved anything. Okay? When something like, I'm just giving you a rough example, this is a very rough example. When something like this happens, stuff that presents itself, say to yourself, is this on my agenda for today or not? And if it's not, jot it down and schedule it in the next 3 or 4 or 5 days or maybe next week when you have time. Look at your calendar. Next Monday, I have 2 hours, I need to pick up someone from the airport. So I will start the update, go pick up my friend from the airport and come back, inshallah, the update will be finished. So you control those tasks, don't let those tasks control you. How many of you read Stephen Covey? 5 or 6 people? The 7 Habits of the Highly Effective People? Oh my God. How many of you heard of the book? There's a problem in the Muslim community in America. Okay, so here's your tip for tonight. Go online. This book has been around for like 15, 20 years. And most people in the world have been talking about it. So if you've never heard of the 7 Habits of the Highly Effective People, number 1, you're not among the effective people. Number 2, you don't have any 7 habits in your lives. Number 3, you have a problem. So, what I'm saying is that Stephen Covey in his book talks about the relationship with regard to time. He talks about the relationship between urgency and importance. So he creates this interesting graph, urgency and importance, and he designates tasks based on urgency and importance. So, some tasks are urgent and important, right? Some tasks are urgent but not important. And some tasks are not urgent but very important. And some tasks are not urgent, not important, right? Again, did you guys get this? You get this picture? Four boxes basically. Now, give me an example of a task that is extremely urgent and extremely important at the same time. Salah is urgent and important. When it's prayer time, you have to do your salah, right? What if you're at work and then you get a call, your son is sick and needs to go to the hospital? Is that important? Obviously. Is that urgent? Absolutely. You leave everything and you go pick up your son, take him to the hospital, right? You can't say, well, I have, on my calendar says I have half hour of exercise. I need to do that first and then go pick up my son. You can't do that because it's urgent and important at the same time. Now, there are also tasks that are urgent but not important. They're very, very urgent, but they're not important at all. What's a good example of this? Answering emails, we think that they are urgent, but they're not urgent. That's actually a good example. You can schedule a time to respond to emails later in the day. How familiar are you with somebody that calls you like at 12 midnight and says, I have an emergency right now, I have this fight with my wife and I need to talk to you right now. We need to talk immediately right now. And then you're like, well, it's 12 midnight. Do we really have to talk right now? Can we talk in the morning? No. We have to, absolutely, right now. We have to talk right now. Right? And then you spend the next 2 hours of your life just listening to someone who could have actually just waited till the morning. So it looks urgent, but it's not. Right? It is maybe for the person it is urgent, but for you it looks urgent, but it's certainly not important. What's an example of a task that is not urgent, but extremely, extremely important? Education, right? Exercise, reading, spirituality, relationships, all the stuff that takes time to build, right? I need to be healthy. This is a 5-year goal or a lifelong goal, which involves, circuit training, it involves weightlifting, it involves walking and biking and everything. Can I do this like in 1 week? No. So it's certainly not urgent, but it's very, very important. It needs to take its time. Give me an example of something that is not important and not urgent. Facebook, exactly. Thank you. Somebody learned something tonight. Social media, unless you're in a crisis zone, you're in Egypt or Yemen or Iraq or Syria, the Arab Spring, and you have to make quick updates or whatever, most of us don't really have anything extremely urgent to share on Facebook, right? Unless you think that by checking in at Walmart, everyone is really going to be so inspired. Because, Muhammad checked in at Walmart. Yeah, that's amazing, thank you. Right? So, out of those 4 categories, which one do you think, or at least according to Stephen Covey, which one do you think we should be spending most of our times? Not urgent and important. Jazakallah khair. The category that is not urgent but important needs to take 90% of your attention. Okay? This should become your golden litmus test. This is your yardstick. Whatever it is that presents itself, ask yourself, is this urgent or not urgent? Okay? If it's urgent, ask yourself, is this important or not important? But if it's not urgent, ask yourself, is it important? If it's important and not urgent, then that's the one you need to be spending time with. That is where the actual investments of your life are. Okay? This is extremely important. And let me inshallah conclude with this, and this is something else that Stephen Covey said. If you were to spend more time on important but not urgent things, you need to learn how to say no. You need to learn how to say no to people. Everyone wants a piece of your time. Everyone wants your help. Everyone wants your advice. Everyone wants to come and do this and that with them. They want you to come do shopping with them. They want you to come talk to their parents with them. They want you to come make this request and that request. You be the judge of it. Don't let people control your time. You control your time. And you learn how to say no. So, am I saying don't help people? If a brother or sister asks you to help them with their moving, am I saying ignore them? No. What I'm saying is, you need to dedicate a few hours every week to helping others. A few hours a week, 3-4 hours, whatever. You know your time better than anyone. A few hours every week that you dedicate to help other people. Okay? And when that quota has been completely taken, and people called you on Thursday or whatever, say, I will only have time, inshallah, starting Monday. You have to have that discipline. And I know it's hard sometimes. But if you don't do that, you will never have any time or discipline or any patience or to help anybody else, and you're going to be burned out, and you're going to give everything up and just disappear. I'm telling you. But if you have the discipline to pace it out, then you have the energy, inshallah, over an extended period of time to help as many people as possible, but also pay attention to your own needs and pay attention to your own plans and to your own time management. So again, these were, inshallah, quick tips inspired by those 2 surahs in the Qur'an, the discussion in Surah Al-Asr and the one in Surah Al-Furqan. And remember, in Surah Al-Furqan, ayah number 62, the discussion that comes immediately after is a discussion on the successful and true believers. So you follow as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you, you would like your name to be on the list of the true believers, you need to pay attention to your time management. and how you spend your time. Go back to Surah Al-Furqan, read 62 until the end, inshallah, and you'll be amazed with that beautiful discussion rather, on the true believers and how successful they can be. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins. I ask Him to accept our good deeds. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us in this month of Ramadan. I ask Him subhanahu wa ta'ala to preserve the lives of our brothers and sisters everywhere in the world. And I ask Allah to make all of us a catalyst, inshallah, to help them and to support them. And I ask Allah, as He gathered us here tonight, to accept all of our dua, to accept all of our prayers, and to bring us closer to each other, inshallah, in the life of this world, and to admit us, inshallah, to His Jannah on the Day of Judgment. Allahumma ameen. Jazakumullah khair.